Well, folks, we are in here on a Friday TGIF edition of the show. We've had a great week of shows in the bye week, but we continue with this one with the fun gang. John Ivory, our awesome producer in the production studio. Yours truly, Stephen M. Smith. Touchdown, Alabama Magazine, in my own words, coming to you live from the magic city of Birmingham. Streaming this to you on YouTube. Speaking of the channel, go ahead right now, drop a thumbs up, give a like on the show, hit that subscribe button, turn all of those notifications on, hit that bell so that way you can have all of your news, notes, alerts, and commentary on your favorite program, that being the Crimson Tide. Had some technical issues there early on, but appreciate all of you, the Bama fans, the Bama faithful, being patient with us as we got everything in line now, being able to deliver you the show. And we got a great one here for you. Got quite a few topics to get into, to discuss. Head coach Nick Saban celebrating his 70th birthday on Sunday, and whether he chooses to coach another 10 years into his 80s or not, always definitely thankful for everything that Coach Saban has provided the University of Alabama football program with since his arrival in 2007. But as always, we want to hear from you guys this evening. You can do that by ringing those phone lines, 205-448-1358, for them to call in to let your voice be heard on the show, 205-448-1358. And one more time, 205-448-1358. Want to hear from you. Gotta shout out my man Willie Beeman from Philly. Philadelphia in the building. My man Willie Beeman, that $25 donation, starting us off right here on the show. But daily super chat goes $75. Daily super chat going. Appreciate the love from each and every last one of you. And before we get into the first topic of conversation, during Thursday's airing of Hey Coach, Coach Saban announced that Drew Sanders, sophomore outside linebacker Drew Sanders, the team very high, very hopeful, very excited to potentially have him for the LSU game next week. Sanders, who suffered an injury to his hand during the matchup against Ole Miss. He has missed the last couple of games, last few games for Alabama, but Coach Saban, the team doctors, everybody has the LSU game, next week's matchup, projected for the sophomore's return at the outside linebacker position. Will Anderson, more than likely, about to get that help back across from him in terms of creating pressure to opposing quarterbacks, but that's just really good news there on one Drew Sanders. Now, we get into first topic of conversation on this evening. Alabama in a bye week. This is potentially, to me, this is the biggest bye week of the Saban era. This is the biggest bye week for Coach Saban and the Crimson Tide, because you start off the second half of your season next week, and there is one word that's on everybody's mind. Can Alabama do this one word? And that term is finish. And going back to 2009, 2015, and 2017, the word finish was a huge term here for Alabama. But prior to getting into the reason why it's so huge is, I remember during this week of interviews for players, Alabama had Evan Neal, it had Cameron Latu at tight end, and it had Malachi Moore, defensive back. All three of these individuals talked about how important this bye week is, not just for rest and for recuperation and for practice time, though those three things are highly important. But the big thing here is being able to finish with the goals that you want. For Alabama, that is finishing in becoming an SEC champion, finishing in terms of getting to the college football playoff, finishing in terms of being back-to-back national champions, defending the crown as national champions of college football. Evan Neal said on Tuesday, we got to finish. We got to continue to finish. Finishing, that's something important here. We value that here. It is something that's been pushed heavily by the leadership on the team, on the roster, in the locker room. We are heavy. We are huge on finishing. Cameron Latu, the junior at tight end, spoke on, we take pride in finishing every game, finishing every rep, finishing every practice, finishing every play, controlling the things that we can't control, especially cutting down those pre-snap penalties. Malachi Moore shared the same things in terms of the defensive secondary. So how important is the word finish truly for Alabama? Well, that goes back to 2009, 2015, and 2017 for that matter. Alabama finished all three of those years. Those respective teams, they took it upon themselves to not get complacent, to rest over the bye week, recuperate over the bye week, but also be locked in on, we got to make sure we are ending the season with a national championship, regardless of whom the opponents we have on the schedule that Alabama has to play. Starting this thing off of 2009, we all remember 2008, Alabama lost to Florida, Tim Tebow, Urban Meyer, and the SEC championship, and then lost to Utah in the Sugar Bowl. Now, of course, Bama did not give 1 cent about facing Utah because their mindset was playing Florida in the SEC title game. So what did Alabama do? In the offseason of 2009, the spring and the summer, they worked hard. They pushed after it. They got after it. It was, if Florida's lifting this much weight, how much we need to lift. If Florida's squatting this much weight, how much we need to squat. If Florida's doing this many 110s, how much we got to run. What do we have to do to get on that level and be better than Florida? The mindset of that 09 team, we got to finish, and we got to finish by, first off, beating Florida in the SEC championship game, and Mark Ingram and the rest of the guys got that done in 2009. You look at 2015, if you remember, Alabama took a 37-43 loss to Ole Miss at Bryant-Denny Stadium, and the famous article from Dan Wolken in USA Today that said the dynasty's dead, it's over, Saban ain't winning no more, he ain't hot no more, he ain't attractive no more in terms of coaching that program, put a fork in Alabama, they're done. That was Dan Wolken. Dynasty's dead, it's over. What happened? Alabama was able to retool itself, reassess itself, had a very strong bye week, went out there, knocked down everybody else they saw, Derrick Henry and the gang, en route to finishing strong, winning the SEC championship over Florida, winning the national championship over Clemson, and of course 2017 of Jalen Hurts and company. Yes, it took a loss to Auburn late in that season, but it found itself back in the college football playoff at number 4. That's the number 4 seed. It demolished Clemson 24-6 in the semifinal, the Sugar Bowl in New Orleans, and then it took on Georgia in the national championship and won that matchup. Tua Tagovailoa coming off the bench in the second half, getting that done. But the purpose is, for all three of those years, finish was the main thing. You got to finish. And coming off that bye week, when you start the second half of your season, you've got to be able to close the deal, to close the door on opposition and hit on the goals that you have set for yourself. And for Alabama, you look at the 3 teams to end the regular season, or the 3 big teams to end the regular season. You look at LSU, Auburn, and Arkansas. Starting this thing off with LSU, how does Alabama finish with LSU? This is a team under Ed Orgeron that Coach O will not be with the Tigers after the season, but he will continue to coach this group in terms of this year is concerned. Yes, LSU 4-4 on the season. It will roll in here next week with not much of anything in terms of a roster, but this is a program that's trying to play spoiler because they know we give Alabama that one more loss, ain't no SEC championship for Alabama. There is no national championship for Alabama. LSU is coming into Bryant-Denny to play spoiler. That's their role. That's their key. That's their MO. Coming into this matchup, they got absolutely nothing to lose. So for Alabama, got to be able to finish here in this matchup taking care of LSU, because 2 years ago at Bryant-Denny, Alabama lost 41-46 at the hand of the Tigers, and we all saw how that thing ended with, Coach O in the middle of the field, breaking it down, Bryant-Denny's LSU's house from now on, what happened in the locker room, things of that nature. People remember that moment. So for Alabama, finishing against LSU, That's number one. Number two, you look at Arkansas is going to come in here pretty soon. And this is a different Arkansas team than what we're used to in years past. In recent years, this has been more of a heavy run team with a lot of defense. Now, Arkansas still runs the football, and it still plays solid defense. Bumper Poole is one of the better linebackers in the country. Definitely the SEC. But this is a different Arkansas team in terms of, look at the offense. Kendall Browse has done a phenomenal job as offensive coordinator. Arkansas has a dynamic, athletic quarterback in KJ Jefferson. Traylon Burks at wide receiver, one of the best receivers in all of the SEC and possibly in all of college football. So how do you finish against Arkansas? At home, Bryant Denny gets Sam Pittman, completely different Arkansas team here. It could have beaten Ole Miss. It lost by 1. Could have beaten Ole Miss. This team could very easily be 6-2 instead of 5-3. So you got to look at Arkansas. And then last but not least, Auburn under head coach Brian Harsin and under Nick Saban, it has been a devil of a time beating Auburn at Jordan-Hare. It's been difficult for Coach Saban to consistently beat Auburn every year at Jordan-Hare. You go down there again this season. You were down there in 2019, lost 45-48. How does Alabama finish in terms of LSU, Arkansas, Auburn? Because the key factor here, if you look at the narrative from national media, it is Alabama can't run with Georgia. They can't hang with Georgia. They don't got the horses as Georgia got them. This is Kirby Smart's best year. This is Kirby Smart's biggest opportunity to finally not only win the SEC, but win the national championship with the defense he's got over there at Georgia, with the offense that they're building over there in Athens. This is Kirby's year. If you look at the narrative spat out by national media, everybody's looking at it. Alabama cannot run with Georgia. It cannot run with Kirby Smart and the Bulldogs. So how does Alabama finish coming off this bye week? Biggest bye week, in my opinion, of the Saban era. Got to have everything intact, everything fine-tuned, everything well-gelled, everything working like a smooth machine here, because now starts the push toward the SEC championship. Now starts the push for trying to defend its crown as national champions. But going to be interesting to see how Alabama goes about finishing this campaign here. We take a break here on the show. Don't touch that dial. We're just getting started. Upon our return, we go to the phone lines. But take your calls, your thoughts, your tweets, your chats, your interactions. We're talking Bama with you, the fans, right after this.
You're watching In My Own Words with Stephen M. Smith, brought to you by We Own the Fourth Quarter. Get your four-finger bling necklace today by visiting weownthefourthquarter.com. Throw them foes up.
I'm Malachi Moore. You're watching In My Own Words with Stephen M. Smith on Touchdown Alabama YouTube channel.
Every sports fan deserves the proper representation. Whitwell Sports introduces to you the Title Towel. Wave that Title Towel in the air like you just don't care in support of Nick Saban and the Alabama Crimson Tide. Only $9.99 and it lasts a lifetime. Head on over to whitwellsports.com and get your Title Towel today.
Remember the taste of Grandma's delicious sweets? Emily's Heirloom Pound Cakes brings back those precious memories with just one bite. Each cake made from scratch. They make the perfect dessert to share with family and friends for any occasion, and ordering is easy. Visit emily'sheirloompoundcakes.com. Click the online store and shop. Then pick up your fresh cake at the kitchen in downtown Homewood. Order yours online at emily'sheirloompoundcakes.com. Emily's Heirloom Pound Cakes, making memories from scratch.
And we're back into the action, folks, from the break of a number one ticket for Bama football news. In my own words, yours truly, Stephen Smith of Touchdown Alabama Magazine on a Friday TGIF edition of the show, ending that bye week correctly. Crimson Tide taking on LSU next week. trying to finish strong coming after the bye week here. Got a couple of super chats to get to. My man Willie Beeman, back again, big man from Philly. That $10 donation helping us out here on the show. And my man Big Bill from New York, that $5 donation helping us out here right now. As always, people, the daily super chat go, $75 daily super chat go. Appreciate the love from you guys and the patience of you, the Bama fans, as well. Got started kind of late here, but we're rocking, we're rolling, we're giving you guys the Alabama football news that you crave here on a Friday. We go to the phone lines right now to take your calls. Call segment brought to you by the Blue Wrench Gang, 205-448-1358. Number to call in, 205-448-1358. You're live on the show. How we feeling? What's going on? State your name and where you calling from.
Hey, Stephen M. It's Robert from Mobile.
What's happening, man?
Hey, with the LSU coming to town next week, I'd say Ogeron talked himself into another butt whooping. It's like you said, we haven't reclaimed our house back, which is what he told us we lost last year, a couple of years ago. Beating them in LSU was just taking their house. We still have to get our house back. So I look for the team to come out and inspired and ready to reclaim our house that they claimed they took from us a couple of years ago. So I'm looking for them to stomp them almost just as bad, if not worse, than they stomped them last time in LSU. The biggest threat to Alabama in the regular season right now is going to be Auburn. Going to Bryant-Denny Stadium. Going to Jordan Hare Stadium, and even that they got a motivation. They had, a couple. They wanted to keep the season alive, and they want to finally get that little bit of that monkey off their backs, at least a little bit, from not being able to play as well in Jordan Hare. The voodoo dolls just seem to keep working every time Alabama goes there. So I think they'll be looking to make a statement in that game as well. But that's the biggest game of the regular season for Alabama. Arkansas, they'll make it interesting for maybe a couple, 3 quarters, maybe. And but I look for them to put LSU away early. I said by halftime, I look for that game to be put away, and because of what Ogeron said and the statements he made in the last game. As far as Candanacannell, Alabama's always getting the breaks and blah blah blah. Oklahoma struggled against Kansas. You can't struggle against Kansas. You can't let Kansas make it a 3-quarter game and expect to be ranked high. And not just the Kansas, Oklahoma struggled against a bunch of teams this season that they should be far better than. If Oklahoma had to play Alabama's schedule, they have 2 losses already. So, Cannell, you can just go blow it somewhere. He's an Alabama hater, and it just constantly shows. It's hard to take him seriously when he's not trying to be a real analyst. But I definitely look for them to put LSU, to lay the hammer down on LSU and put them away early, and for Bryce Young's Heisman campaign to continue. Right now, the Heisman is still his to lose. It's just going to come down to if he beats Georgia in the SEC championship game and gets Alabama to the playoff, he wins the Heisman. It's just that simple for Bryce. It's not simple, but that's how it goes for Bryce Young. All right, buddy.
All right, my man, appreciate Robert from Mobile with those thoughts there, calling into the show. If you're trying to get your thoughts in, 205-448-1358, number to call in, 205-448-1358. Want to hear from you on the show. I almost got tongue-tied there. Want to hear from you on the show, but as you're getting your thoughts in, I'm going to go to a quick topic here, and this is for head coach Nick Saban. The team celebrated his 70th birthday on Wednesday. They broke out the kazoos, the birthday cake. Coach Saban had some shades on there. Coach Saban rocking shades. He's rocking jewelry. He's rocking everything. 70 years old, still a player. So Coach Saban, that the team really gave him an outstanding birthday. I don't know if Daniel Wright sung the birthday song again. I didn't see it in the video that the University of Alabama released to the Twitter account there, but it is what it is. Just happy that Coach Saban enjoying that 70th birthday. Now, the official birthday will be on Sunday. We go to the phone line and take this call right here. You're live on the show. What's going on? How we feeling? State your name and where you calling from.
Yeah, I'm calling for Georgia. This is Tom Reed. I I want to hear your opinion if Alabama beats Georgia in the SEC champ game. What's your opinion on Alabama being able to beat Georgia again during the playoffs?
That's interesting. So Bama beats Georgia in the SEC championship game, and then they would more than likely they would probably face Georgia again in the playoff. I think Alabama could get Georgia both times, and here's why. As good as Georgia's defense is, and they're outstanding, Georgia's defense has not been tested truly all season by an offense that can frustrate it, that can stress it out a little bit. And then number two, as great of a story as Stetson Bennett is, and he's a great little story at quarterback, they need JT Daniels. JT can drive the ball downfield. He can stretch the field throwing the football. Stetson Bennett doesn't quite have that ability, but we'll see what happens here. Bama trying to get this thing going after the bye week with LSU, Arkansas, and Auburn on the schedule. Appreciate that call there from my man from Georgia calling in. We take this call here. You are live on the show this evening. What's going on? How we feeling? State your name and where you calling from.
Hi, Stephen. Bill from New York.
Bill, what's going on, brother?
Well, my thing is we're going to waltz through these next games. I'm not worried about any of these teams. The only thing I worry about is health, and that's looking good from what you're saying about Bryce. Because on defense, we need the pass rush. We got to rush the passer. On offense, I think Evan Neal is going to be like the first pick in the draft. We just got to hope he stays healthy, and Bryce. I don't want to see him run too much in these games. Do you? I really don't want to see that because we're going to need him, like you said, to finish. So I'm pretty excited, but at the same time I'm calm because I think we're going to roll over these teams, man. What do you think, Steven?
I like Alabama's chances coming out this bye week. Just listening to Evan Neal, Cameron Latua, and Malachi Moore, the word is finishing this thing all the way out, and that's a big thing. Can this group finish all the way out? Another piece of good news is you're going to have a chance to have Drew Sanders back for LSU, and that's huge because this was a young man that was growing at outside linebacker opposite Will Anderson. He was getting better on the field prior to getting hurt against Ole Miss. So having Drew Sanders back for LSU, that's a big deal, big boost to the defense, and these guys being able to communicate well on the field, get lined up, not be misaligned, talk to each other while they're on the field to execute these plays defensively. But absolutely, Bill, I feel good. I feel good coming out of this bye week.
And the thing with Sanders, in the last game he played, I watched these games. I taped them. I watched the replay. He didn't look as great as as good as he normally does. And that would be hard to do when every time you touch somebody, your hand is killing you. I've had hand injuries. They hurt bad. If this kid's ready, we're going to see something special out of him. But anyway, Steve, thanks again, as always, for taking my call. Your show's the greatest. You're the greatest. And roll Tide.
Appreciate my man Bill from New York calling in with his thoughts and adding those thoughts into the show on Drew Sanders and Alabama football coming out of this bye week. Once again, people, Alabama football players celebrated Coach Saban's birthday. Happy to see that. Coach Saban officially turns the big 7-0, the big 70 on Sunday. We take a break right here, folks, on Touch That Down. When we get back, we talk about the Alabama wide receiver room, and in particular, Traeshon Holden has become the wow factor. We'll talk about it after this.
You know what we do at the start of the fourth quarter. We throw them foes up. But now you don't have to wait until the fourth quarter. Get your 4-finger bling necklace at WeOwnTheFourthQuarter.com. It's the first and only logo that captures the essence of all Crimson Tide players and fans as we represent the legendary Alabama football fourth quarter dominance. Get your 4-finger bling necklace right now at WeOwnTheFourthQuarter.com. Get yours today and stun on them haters.
Look at all these great players at Touchdown Alabama magazine. Man, wait till I turn up this year. I'm gonna be on the front cover. But what if Will goes off? Or Joe? DeMarco, Chris, Tim, Christian.
Don't wait. Order now at touchdownalabama.com or call 833-483-2624 today.
Christian or Jameer.
And we're back in the action here, folks, from the break on a Friday, TGIF edition of the show. Number one forum for Bama football news, Touchdown Alabama Magazine. In my own words, yours truly, Stephen M. Smith, with the man John Ivory in the production studio, getting this bye week going here. But we look at now the Alabama wide receiver room, and in particular one, Traeshon Holden. But before we get into the wide receiver room for a minute here, this current room, at Alabama under Coach Saban, there's always been, a group of three, a trio, if you will. Bama's always had the go-to receiver, the number one guy, the primary guy. I mean, the number two guy would always be the great complementary piece, the 1-2 punch kind of ordeal. And then the number three guy was always, whoa, who is that? Like, EVE, who's that girl? EVE, nah, say my name, you know what I'm saying. But number three person would always be, who is that? Who in the world is that? Like, that guy's legit. There's always those three players on the field at that wide receiver position. And under Coach Saban, in the 6 championship years, Bama has always had a very solid number three, a dynamic number three, a guy that had the potential to be very special here for the football team. And I think about this constantly. In 2009, that number three guy was Darius Hanks. He was really good for Crimson Tide football. In 2011, that national championship year, the number three guy was Kenny Bell. Speed, fast, burst. Folks were like, who is that? 7? That guy's fast. That guy's speedy. Who was that dude? And then 2012, it was Kevin Norwood. People were like, that 83 is so consistent. He catch everything. It don't matter if it's 3rd down, 4th down, 5th down. Kevin Norwood going to catch everything. Keep throwing the ball to 83. He going to catch it all. That was Kevin Norwood in 2012. 2015, the guy was O.J. Howard. To this day, U.S. Alabama fans wonder, why did the Tide not use O.J. Howard more offensively? I mean, he was only 6'6" and ran a 4.5 140. Why did Alabama not use this guy more until it got to the college football playoff? I mean, yes, Calvin Ridley good. Yes, Ardarius Stewart good. Yes, Richard Slotty Pippen Mulaney darn good. But why was O.J. Howard not used more? Howard was number 3 in 2015. And then you go down to 2017. That guy was Devontae Smith. Saw in the game against Mississippi State. Caught the game-winning touchdown from Jalen Hurts in that matchup. And then the national championship in the second half against Georgia, or in overtime against Georgia, Tua Tagovailoa hooks up with Smitty. 41-yard rainbow game-winning score. And folks were like, holy smoke, 6? Who this is? That boy going to be special. That boy going to be right. That boy gonna be legit. Whoever this 6 is, circle that boy, put a star by him, highlight his name. He gonna be something else. And then, of course, last year, 2020, that number 3 guy was John Mechie. Number 1, Devontae Smith. Number 2 was Jalen Waddle. But then the Texas A&M game, we saw number 8. We're like, whoa, who's this cat? Mechie? Okay. You know, Mechie, A&M that year, 5 catches, $181, 2 touchdowns. Then we saw him again against Tennessee, 6 catches, 151 yards. We're like, you know what, this Mechie guy may be a little something right here. So this brings us to Traeshon Holden. He has become the emerging guy. Holden has become kind of the emerging star here of this Alabama team, of this Alabama offense in terms of the wide receiver room. And he's been getting extended playing time. He's been getting expanded playing time out here on the field. When you talk to Coach Saban about him, it's always Traeshon doing the right things on the field, doing the right things in practice, doing the right things in the film room, doing the right things in the weight room, putting the right stuff in his body, doing the right things in the classroom. Nick Saban, Coach Saban, really enjoys the effort Traeshon Holden is putting in here. When you talk to players about Holden, Jamison Williams in particular say, I love Traeshon. He's a great wide receiver. He has a different style to his game. His game is different than everybody else's. I love his game. He a dog. He go at it. He competitive. He got speed. I like what Holden does. And then Bryce Young, the roommate of Holden, he talks about it. There's nothing different with Traeshon. He comes to work every day. He battles hard every day. He's got a professional mindset. He runs great routes. He gets it. He understands what his job is, and he does his job. Going back to the matchup against Mississippi State, where Holden 3 catches for 70 yards and a touchdown. He caught one of the passes from Bryce Young, turned his shoulders, and had the Robert Foster go-go jet boost, hitting it 29 yards to the house for a score. So the guy's got the speed, the guy's got the burst, the guy's got the size at 6'3". He's got what you need here as that wow factor at number 3. And as dependable as Slade Bolden is, as reliable at times as Slade Bolden is, Traeshon Holden offers you so much more at that position. More speed, more hands, more routes, more elevation, get up and grab the football, more dog mentality there coming out of one Traeshon Holden. And like I mentioned, when you have Mechie, Jamison Williams, and now Holden, you've got your go-to guy, whether it's Mechie, whether it's Williams, you can pretty much interchange the two. You got your go-to guy. You've got Jamison Williams, who is your deep threat. He's your take the top off the secondary. He's your burner. He's your speed. The brother's averaging 20.3 yards per catch this season. He's Mr. Get Up and Go, Go, Go. That's Jamison Williams. And then you have your wow guy, your change-up guy, your wild card, your shake it up type of player in Traeshon Holden. So it's always good to have 3. It's great to have a go-to, a compliment, and a wow factor. Alabama has always had that at receiving options, the 3 guys, your go-to, your compliment, and your wow factor. And it's awesome here seeing, Holden continuing to grow, continuing to develop and emerge into being that 3rd guy. Just going back to the matchup against Tennessee, if he does not slip and fall on the play that, he was involved in, he scores. He definitely scores. Just was not quite able to control his footing on the play, slipped and failed there. But we have seen in the Saban era, Alabama has always had, a trio of wide receivers, and that 3rd guy in the mix is always the shock value. It's always the wild card. It's always the wow factor. It's always that change of pace guy. Whether that guy was Darius Hanks, whether that guy was Kenny Bell, Kevin Norwood, O.J. Howard, Devontae Smith, John Mechie, Bama's always had that guy, number 3. And now that guy is Traeshon Holden, and just very excited to see as we continue to move through the season what he does in that receiver room, catching passes from one Bryce Young. We take a break here, folks, on the show. Don't touch that dial. Upon our return, we get back to the phone lines to get your thoughts, your calls, your interactions, your vents, your opinions. We get back to you, the Bama Nation, right after this.
Don't touch that dial. Call in right now as we're taking your calls up next on In My Own Words with Stephen M. Smith, brought to you by We Own the Fourth Quarter. Visit WeOwnTheFourthQuarter.com now to get your 4-finger bling necklace.
This is Chris Rogers, 2009 national champion. You are listening to the baddest, when I say the baddest, sports show in the state of Alabama. In my own words, yours truly, Touchdown Alabama Magazine. Don't touch that dial.
You know what we do at the start of the 4th quarter. We throw them foes up. But now you don't have to wait until the 4th quarter. Get your 4-finger bling necklace at WeOwnTheFourthQuarter.com. It's the first and only logo that captures the essence of all Crimson Tide players and fans as we represent the legendary Alabama football 4th quarter dominance. Get your 4-finger bling necklace right now at WeOwnTheFourthQuarter.com. Get yours today and stun on them haters. Touchdown Alabama Magazine is Alabama football's premier publication. A subscription to Touchdown Alabama Magazine is the perfect gift for any Alabama fan. For exclusive news and information, recruiting updates, a free annual print magazine, and more, go to touchdownalabama.com and click join. Only $7.95 per month, or pay $74.95 for a full-year subscription. That's a yearly saving of $20. Go to touchdownalabama.com today and roll Tide. Thank you for tuning in. Show your support right now by clicking that like button. If you haven't subscribed, hit the subscribe button now and enable all notifications to make sure you don't ever miss any of the best Alabama football news, notes, and information right here on Touchdown Alabama.
And we are back in from the break to the action here on the number one forum for Bama football news. In my own words, yours truly, Stephen Smith, Touchdown Alabama Magazine, rocking and rolling with you on a Friday, TGIF edition of the show, ending that bye week off correctly. Crimson Tide taking on LSU on next week at Bryant-Denny Stadium. Got to shout out my man William Bryant out of Iowa. William Bryant with that 50-piece, $50 donation helping us out here on the show daily. Super chat goal of $75 has been met. Appreciate the love from all of you helping us out here. But we go to the phone lines to grab your calls and your thoughts. 205-448-1358. Number to call in right there. 205-448-1358. We take this call. You are live on the show. What's happening? What's going on? How we feeling? State your name and where you calling from.
How's it going, Big Steve? This is TOBAISE from Fresno. Give you a shout out, man. How you doing?
Man, I cannot complain. Tobias doing great, man. Coach Saban celebrating that birthday on Sunday. We getting ready to come out of this bye week, man.
Yeah. I saw some of the little clips of the celebration. That's good, man. The old man is getting older, but he looks young and he looks vibrant, and so that's good news for the Bama Nation. But it's just good for football, man. He's from the tree of my old coach. I won't go into that, but you learn so much from guys like that. They teach you more than football, man. They teach you how to be a man. They teach you how to be responsible. They teach you how to handle your business. They invest time and energy. I know that probably the average fan doesn't realize all that goes into a scholarship athlete. But literally, Nick Saban, with all of the kids that have come through his program, they're worth, well over billions of dollars that he's added. And when you look at the vast majority of those kids, African-American kids, this is generational wealth that he's creating for our communities and doing it in a way with high integrity, which you don't see today, man. Everybody is stepping on somebody, doing it the wrong way, putting down another person to make themselves seem bigger. But this guy in kind of that, Don James, Bobby Bowden, just the showmanship along with the sportsmanship, it makes us proud to see a coach like this have the success he's had, not just for himself, but for all the kids, man. But but go ahead. No, I'm sorry. I wanted to ask you though. I went back and looked at the tapes, and I haven't been on in a couple of weeks. My wife had me at an event one week, and then I had to launch this new church site that we're working on. And so I've been off, but I did go back and look at the tape, man. I think what we're seeing with the offensive line, we have, obviously a senior on one side who is serviceable. And then, of course, you have your number one draft choice on the other side. And then you have in the middle there, not as sizable as we've been in the past, not as experienced as we've been in the past. And I think that's creating a little bit of angst with both the running game and the passing game. I think we're set up to make a huge launch in this LSU game, man. And that's what I'm excited about, because normally, if people look back to that 2017 championship, this is when our younger guys actually did start getting in. They started coming into the rotation. The coaching staff started putting them in more. And I think that's what we'll see here. In terms of, I wanted to make a comment to us as fans about when we start talking about 5-star this, 5-star that. Those are rankings. It's not that they're not legitimate, but you got to look at the development of each player. And I know some people have been crying because I was even saying, man, why isn't a Jai Hall in, and why isn't this one in? But I have to temper myself with my experience and know that there's something going on in the background that if they can just persevere, they're going to get on that field and wreck house. And to everyone that's looking at this Georgia game, if you haven't seen the film, go look at the film. Georgia is for real. It is a legitimate team. And Steve, I think you said it best. You know, the quarterback they have in there now, it poses a little problem because he is mobile a little bit, but he's not going to win a national championship. JT Daniels has the arm strength and capacity to pick apart and do things that typically can hurt an Alabama or any defense. However, I do believe that JT Daniels plays right into the kind of football that we like to play. And I believe that Saban going to have these boys ready. I hope that more receivers get into the rotation. I hope that our line begins to gel and get some of that dog. Our defense, I'm glad we saw flashes of greatness against Tennessee, and then we had a few, a few miscues that led to some big plays. But if you X out those big plays, Stephen, you saw a Bama defense that's growing. You saw them rally. I mean, Federian, that boy, I can't wait to see where he goes in the draft. I hope Christian Harris creates some more wealth for himself because he's kind of been silent. I hope that Toho creates some film for himself, that kind of adds to his value. And I hope the back end does the things they need to do. But, Stephen, man, I'm looking forward to this LSU game. It's normally when we turn the switch on. If we stay healthy, Bama Nation, we're in for a treat in this SEC championship game. But we will have to go through Jordan Hare. So that one always, man, they got the voodoo down there or something. And that's supposed to be LSU voodoo, but they got it down there in this Jordan Hare place. So we got to, cross our fingers for that. Stephen, you always do a great job. I can't wait to get off the line so I can go ahead and super chat you. Keep doing what you're doing, man. You represent us well. Proud to be listening to your show. I learned so much from all of the TDA members. Roll Tide.
Appreciate my man Tobias Brookins from Fresno for all of those words, his thoughts there on Alabama football. As you guys continue to get your thoughts in to the phone lines here, 205-448-1358. That's the number right there, 205-448-1358. We switch to this topic here, and it's actually on one Evan Neal, the junior, the outstanding, talented junior at left tackle. According to Todd McShay, NFL draft expert here, he has updated his prospect rankings, draft board for 2022. And Evan Neal, his number 3 prospect on the board. He's got Neal behind Derek Stingley, corner from LSU, who's at number 2. And at number 1 overall, McShay has Kayvon Thibodeau, the talented defensive lineman for Oregon. So Evan Neal, number 3 on McShay's big board. But that young man, Neal, will be a top 5 pick. Neal will be a top 5 draft pick. And I got a chance to look at some teams. I think the Eagles need an offensive lineman. The Washington football team needs an offensive lineman. The Giants need an offensive lineman. And for goodness sake, the Dolphins need an offensive lineman. So there are some teams right there at the top of that draft list that need linemen. We grab a call right here. You're live on the show. What's going on? How we feeling? State your name and where you calling from.
I'm feeling great, Stephen. It's William up here in Iowa.
How we feeling, my man?
I am doing just great, man. I'm excited for this LSU game coming up. Glad it's being played in Bryant-Denny so we can reclaim that sucker, you know.
Absolutely.
But,
I mean, we all saw what happened there 2 years ago. I was there, and Tua playing on one. He was playing on one good leg and one peg leg, and we're still giving LSU the business out there. Unfortunately, fell 5 points short there.
Yeah. Well, we're going to reclaim it. I mean, that's that's our land down there. Ain't no doubt about that. You just talking about Drew Sanders. I'm glad that young fella's going to be coming back in that game there. And since we're talking about injuries, I just want to see if you got any updates on the ones that we've had recently. If you got any more updates on those.
Well, just Drew Sanders as of now. I would like to ask Coach Saban and a presser coming up here on how is Christopher Allen coming along, because we have not heard anything on Chris Allen since the injury to start the year against Miami. So hopefully, if I can get to Coach Saban, maybe he can shed some light on how much Chris Allen has been able to do in his rehab process, and is there potential for him to maybe come back for the playoff?
Yeah, no doubt. Well, that's all I got for you there. You have a super weekend and roll tide, everybody.
Absolutely. Appreciate my man William Bryan from Iowa calling in right there. Yeah, I'm gonna put that John on my to-do list here, John. So the next Saban press conference, ask a question about the progression of Chris Allen. How far has he progressed in terms of, can Alabama have him back on the field? Should it make the college football playoff? But we're going to go to a break here, folks, on the show. When we get back, we'll dive into some grades. We will grade, or I will grade, the first half of Alabama season as we will come back from the bye week next week. We'll tidy up loose ends after this.
If you're an avid Alabama Crimson Tide fan and you love to flaunt it, then show your Alabama Crimson Tide support by grabbing the All Bama sneakers. They feature bold Crimson Tide graphics, so no one will be able to question where your allegiance lies. When you add these sweet sneakers to your Alabama Crimson Tide collection, go to stsfootwear.com and use the code TDAlabama for $15 off your purchase. That's code TDAlabama for $15 off your purchase. Go to stsfootwear.com and get your All Bama sneakers today. Touchdown Alabama Magazine is Alabama football's premier publication. A subscription to Touchdown Alabama Magazine is the perfect gift for any Alabama fan. For exclusive news and information, recruiting updates, a free annual print magazine, and more, go to touchdownalabama.com and click join. Only $7.95 per month, or pay $74.95 for a full year subscription. That's a yearly saving of $20. Go to touchdownalabama.com today and roll Tide. Thank you for tuning in. Show your support right now by clicking that like button. If you haven't subscribed, hit the subscribe button now and enable all notifications to make sure you don't ever miss any of the best Alabama football news, notes, and information right here on Touchdown Alabama.
All right, folks, we are back in from the break on number one ticket for your Crimson Tide football news. In my own words, yours truly, Stephen Smith. Touchdown Alabama Magazine, ending that bye week correctly, getting you ready for next week. Crimson Tide, LSU from Bryant-Denny Stadium, Alabama trying to bounce back, get a little bit of that revenge on the Tigers after losing 2 years ago, 2019, by the score of 46-41. LSU got the victory right there 2 years ago. Gotta shout out my man TOBAISE Brookins, my brother from Fresno, that $20 donation helping us out here on the show, showing love. Appreciate all of you guys writing in, calling in, tweeting in, texting in, donating in, making this your show, your network, your channel, your platform to let your voice be heard. But before we get into the final topic of conversation, got to remind you of TDAwear.com. That is TDAwear.com. So for all of you still overjoyed with the Crimson Tide's national championship from the 2020 campaign, we want you to check out our championship collection merch. This means you grab you an 18 of them things, folk, hoodie, t-shirt, or sweatshirt, as well as our Got 18 We Do shirts. Designs that feature all 18 championship years on the back. You head on over to TDAwear.com, do it right now, TDAwear.com. You go to the Championship Collections merch tab, and you get you that gear today, showing that support for Coach Saban, the University of Alabama, the student athletes, and us here at TDA. Now, before I get into the final topic, I had a couple of comments there, or saw a couple of comments there in the chat line wondering about LeBron Ray. Is LeBron Ray healthy? Is LeBron Ray good? LeBron Ray's fine. He's been playing all season. Bama's been working. Well, he's been playing as of late, more this season as of late. Bama's been working him in more and more into these games. So from the Texas A&M matchup to Mississippi State to Tennessee, LeBron Ray has been worked in more and more into the picture. So he's healthy. He's out there. He's playing. And it is a great thing to see him being out there participating with his brothers. But we made it through half of the Alabama season. And with that being said, Professor Smith has entered the room. I put on my professor hat because now we got the grades. We got the mid-term grades, the mid-season grades, the first half grades for Alabama offensively, defensively, special teams before it kicks off the second half of the season. So here we go right now. Starting off at quarterback, I'm giving Bryce Young an A. Bryce Young has earned an A from me the first half of the season, and we knew coming in, when he came in, the talent that Bryce had, the ability that Bryce had, the skill set that Bryce had. But at the same time, it was also, replacing one Mac Jones that did so much in the previous year. 4,500 passing yards, 41 touchdowns, set a whole bunch of records, was a Heisman finalist, took this team wire to wire, undefeated national championship in a COVID year. Could Bryce Young come behind Mac Jones and do some big things? And he has. You look at what Alabama lost from last year's team. No more Devontae Smith. No more Jalen Waddle. No more Najee Harris. No more Landon Dickerson. No more Alex Leatherwood. No more Deontay Brown. And Bryce Young has still been able to do big time things with an offensive line that's been up and down, with receivers that sometimes they catch the ball, sometimes they do not. Young still top 10 among quarterbacks in college football when you look at passing yards, when you look at touchdown passes, passer rating, quarterback rating. He's just outside the top 10 at number 11 for completion percentage at 70%. A brother that has, 5 300-yard passing games. He's got multiple games with at least 3 touchdown passes. He is in the running for the Davey O'Brien National Quarterback of the Year Award, the Manning Award. He's in the running for the Heisman Trophy. Bryce Young has exceeded expectations. Now he's trusting himself even more to run with the football. Definitely an A, in my opinion, for Bryce Young. Done a phenomenal job this season. As we go to now the running backs, Professor Smith, in terms of the running backs, I give this group an A. This group has done a fantastic job. First and foremost, Brian Robinson being the bell cow of this group. Going back to the offseason, so many of you wondered, B-Rob is good, but can he be great? B-Rob is good, but does he have what it takes to pay the toll? He's good, but can he carry this running back room and be the number one guy? A lot of people had doubts. Some had Jace McClellan more so doing it. Some had Trey Sanders more so doing it. But Brian Robinson has been phenomenal. He has increased draft value for himself week after week. 760 yards rushing, 11 rushing touchdowns. That's first in the SEC. He's improved himself out the backfield as a receiver. 17 catches, 161 yards, 2 touchdowns, 3 100-yard games on the year for him. He's taken so much pressure off of Bryce Young. You look at Roydell Williams. Jace McClellan went down. Roydell, the young man from Hueytown High School here in the Birmingham area, has stepped all the way up. Running over people, running through people, running around people. Speed, power, hands out the backfield. Even when Trey Sanders gets into games, even though it's late in games, he's showing you what he can do. So I feel like the running back room led by B-Rob has taken so much pressure off Bryce Young. It's enhanced the run game, enhanced the passing game. An A for this group here at running back. Moving on down to the wide receivers. Professor Smith, yours truly, wide receivers a B+. B+ for the receiving unit. I said this in the offseason. This group, solid, not special. There are some guys in this group that have the potential to be special if they continue to work, but as a whole, a solid group. And we knew it was going to be difficult because you lost 4 trunk cards. You lost 4 aces. You lost 4 jokers out of the deck. You lost 4 number 1 picks, 4 first-round picks. You know how hard it is to replace 4 jokers? You know how hard it is to replace a Jerry Jeudy, a Henry Ruggs, a Devontae Smith, a Jalen Waddle? It's darn hard. It's difficult to do that. But this group has been solid. They've dropped some passes. They've had some tough moments, but they're starting to kind of peak now at the right time. When you look at John Mechie, back-to-back weeks, he looks like John Mechie again. 100-yard game against Mississippi State. 100-yard game against Tennessee. Jamison Williams, I mentioned this before, he's the burner. He's to take the top off the secondary, averaging 20.3 yards per catch. Mr. Get up and go, go, go. You've got Traeshon Holden, who's growing into being that number 3 guy. Slade Bolden, the number 4 guy. You've got the tight ends, Cameron Latou, 5 touchdown receptions this season. Jaleel Billingsley, got to work him more so in, got to get him more so involved, but Jaleel Billingsley. So, overall, wide receiver room, B+. Can it continue to grow? Can it continue to peak, make plays, work back to Bryce Young? Block also. When you don't have the ball in your hands, block, help out everybody else in that receiver room. Big time for that unit there. As we look at now the offensive line, in my end, this group, a C. C for the offensive line. This group has had moments where it's been good. It has been able to somewhat protect Bryce Young enough to where, going back to the stats, top 10 for passing yards, top 10 for touchdown passes, passer rating, QBR, all those types of things. But at the same time, Bryce Young has been sacked 17 times this season, which is 4 more than what Mac Jones was sacked the whole 2020 campaign, which was 13 times. In discussing this with Evan Neal, he talked about it. We got to get better. We got to improve. No one likes seeing the quarterback on the ground. No one likes giving up sacks. We got to improve in this area. So Alabama's offensive line, it's been sound at times. It's been good at times. It's been decent at times. And a C means decent, but a C also means there are areas of your game where you have to improve upon. And this offensive line got to get better with consistently protecting Bryce Young from left tackle to right tackle. When you go over defense here for Alabama, C. A C for the defense. There have been moments where this defense has looked like what we thought it would be all throughout the offseason. Against Miami, the defense looked strong. Against, the first half against Ole Miss, the defense looked strong. Defense looked strong against Mississippi State. I mean, there have been times where it's looked good, but it's got to put it all together. It's not fully putting it all together. So once it puts it all together, then we can really see this defense for what we thought it would be entering the season. So C for the defense. It's had some good moments, but it's got to build that consistency. Last but not least here, special teams. I give it a B. B for special teams. Special teams has been solid. James Burnett's been solid punting. Will Reichert's only missed two field goals. He's been steady Eddie. He's been consistent. When you look at Jamison Williams on special teams, he's returned 2 kickoffs for touchdowns. That's really good. JoJo Earl, he's bobbled a couple of punts, but he didn't turn it over. He did not turn the football over. That's the key. He may have bobbled some, but he has not turned the ball over. Alabama has maintained possession of the football, and Slade Bolden showing the sure hands there on punt return. Not necessarily the speed fast, got to take it back to the house, but does fair catch the ball, does control the ball, does possess the ball, does not turn the ball over. So a B in terms of special teams. But there you have it there, folks. The grades here, first half of the season for Alabama football as it prepares to start half 2 of the campaign next week against LSU. But as always, Bama fans, you want the best in news, notes, information, and coverage on your favorite program, that being the Crimson Tide. You can get this by accessing the Touchdown Alabama Magazine app. You download the app from the iPhone App Store if you're rocking Team Apple, Google Play Store if you got the Android phone. For your audio listening needs, we got you taken care of. iTunes, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, Spreaker, Google Play, TuneIn Radio, Overcast.fm, or iHeartRadio. If the good and gracious Lord sees fit, I will be back on Monday continuing the conversation that is Bama football. Remember, Tide fans, you can purchase individual copies of Touchdown Alabama Magazine. Have those sent to your door. That link will be in the description also. If you're trying to get the fresh edition, print edition of TDA, the magazine, you go to touchdownalabama.com, you click join, become a member, a subscriber today. That link in the description. And if you're also trying to get that 4-finger bling necklace, 4-finger bling jewelry, courtesy of our guys at We Own, thefourthquarter.com, that link in the description as well. But until next time, folks, husbands, love your wives. Wives appreciate, value those husbands, children, weekend here, but continue doing the right thing, fun thing, smart thing, good thing, legitimate thing. To not be bored, you grab you those 3 hearty meals a day, those 3 great laughs a day. You protect yourself, you protect the loved ones around you. Enjoy the weekend, enjoy college football. Until next time, folks, I'm your man, Stephen M. Smith. You've been listening to In My Own Words.